Welcome to Comic and Screen. I am Sam Otten, and with me is Jason Book, writer and artist of meandhimcomic.tumblr.com. Hey, Jason.
Hey Sam, how are you?
I'm pretty good. So, I'm excited to be talking about Batman issue 46. We've been covering this Batman run for a while, and it's always been some good stuff. In this one, we have part 6 of the Super Heavy storyline, which is known as kind of the Jim Bats or the Bat Bunny line where Jim Gordon is now in this mech bat suit. And we've been dealing with Mr. Bloom as this new villain. So this is actually part 6 of Super Heavy. So what'd you make of this issue, Jason?
Oh, once again, they just continue to deliver the good stuff. Good art, some good story development going on. I like the parts with Bruce and Julie. I kind of like the scenes with the Black Robin character, Duke. And then they're really kind of giving us more and more of this, showing that maybe Jim Gordon isn't the best guy to be Batman. And I think we're kind of working towards eventually Bruce getting back into this because this can't go on forever.
Yeah, and I'm kind of also feeling like Jim Gordon is maybe not the best guy for Batman because I'm kind of, as I'm thinking back to these issues, I kind of realized that Jim Gordon is probably the character that I care the least about, and I'm actually like more interested in the Bruce Wayne stuff or
Yeah.
seeing like Duke come in, and I'm interested in Mr. Bloom as a villain quite a lot. But like Jim Gordon, I'm kind of like, man, Gordon, I don't know, just something about his attitude and how he's going in the bat when he's trying to be Batman.
Yeah.
Um, the story is good and I'm enjoying it, but I'm not really like a huge fan of Jim Gordon as Batman.
Well, I
And part of
think.
it might be too that he's like his relationship with Clark Kent in some of the other books is like, they've had some tensions as
Oh,
well.
okay. Well, they've really taken though like the most recognizable things about being his character for the entire life of the comic book out of the window because really when he's got the Batman mask on, it could really be anybody. They've kind of de-aged him a bit, and Jim Gordon was always a bit older and a little more kind of scruff and rough around the edges, and kind of a different sense of humor. So I think it's really they're doing this on purpose to make us realize that he's not the man for the job and enter, hopefully, Bruce Wayne soon.
Yeah. And it's actually the kind of thing where, like, so I say that I don't care about his character as much, but it's not because it's a bad story or bad writing.
No,
I
not
think
at
it's
all.
actually a good story and good
Yeah.
writing, but it's like, it's a good story maybe because Jim Gordon doesn't quite fit, and it's always kind of like he's at tension of whether he wants to do this Batman stuff, and
Yeah.
they have to convince him to do it, and it's always like this stuff. So, yeah, I think it's almost actually a sign of good writing that I have those reactions.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a couple moments though that were really cool. Like in this issue was the one where he said, "I finally get to drive my own Batmobile" or whatever, or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. The cool stuff like that, and his little moments with the robot calling him rookie and stuff. Those are the
Yeah.
kind of things I'll look back on the run one day and be like, "Well, they're kind of fun."
Yeah, I do think he's had some nice dynamics between him and his bat suit, especially in like the last couple issues.
Yeah,
So yeah, when I opened that page with the Batmobile, like oversized bat cycle,
yeah.
I kind of just had to smirk to myself because it didn't look like a very practical vehicle that
No,
you'd
no.
actually.
Yeah, it's like something out of like a manga or something crazy like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about Mr. Bloom for a bit. So
Sure.
Mr. Bloom kind of makes his move where it continues from last issue where he's at this big event and he's threatening these people and making this big show, and then they're able to magnetize him and kind of pull him, and he then escapes. And then we see him also at the end of the issue. So spoiler alert here, but at the end of the issue, he actually is able to give a voice command and thwart Gordon's plan with his bat suit because Mr. Bloom's actually able to give a voice command to the bat suit. So just what did you think? What did you learn about Mr. Bloom in this issue, or what are your thoughts on Mr. Bloom so far in the arc?
Well, I mean, I like how they're doing the character. We really don't know a lot about the character behind who he is and the kind of cool like deaths he's inflicted on some people and the general creepiness. It really fit in with the vibe of Halloween and stuff like that. But as far as him activating the bat suit and all that, I mean, who knows if he's got ties somehow to the people that created the bat suits or something like that. It could go a lot of different ways. And as we were saying before we started recording tonight, it's probably leading up to the big finale in issue 50. I can't see this really wrapping up next issue and having some filler. So
Right.
I really am kind of waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, I do think 50 is in the horizon. They're 4 issues away, and Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo have said they want to do something special for 50. So I think you probably are onto something that they might actually just have the final culmination of this story right in issue 50.
Yeah.
Because I think they still need to do some more. I think, we do need to learn more about Mr. Bloom.
Yeah.
They've
Oh,
got
yeah.
the pills going on, and Duke took one of the pills, and Bruce noticed now that it's missing.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to get a couple more issues where something's going to happen with those pills.
Right.
And then I think we also need to have the super heavy elements that were being actually like created, these new elements beyond the periodic table.
Yeah.
Those were missing from this issue, so I think those need to come back in, get a little bit more play.
Probably,
and all of that, we've got 3 issues where that could happen, and then issue 50, everything could kind of come together.
Yeah, and then for me, like I'm just speculating here, but you know what I think is going to happen in issue 50? I think that Bruce Wayne will be back in the bat suit, and we are going to have our first African American Robin, and I think that's going to be this character because there are parts before this issue where I'm like, why is this kid in here? Da da da. But it kind of reminded me of Tim Drake in some of the older Batman comics, where he was like doing detective work and trying to find out stuff while Batman wasn't around, and I could see him maybe being the character to bring Batman back, and I think that could be really interesting.
Yeah, and he is there at the place for youth where Bruce is currently working with
Yeah.
Julie. So that does tie in there for him to be able to maybe bring Bruce. And then the fact that Duke is doing the stuff in We Are Robin and doing the stuff here to kind of prove himself while Bruce is gone. Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good idea. And it would be nice to, in 50, to get, Bruce back into the suit or something. That would definitely be something that would be a memorable issue 50.
Yeah, it'd be something kind of special because if you think about it, there's been a million Robins and there's been, female Robins even in the Dark Knight Returns and stuff. So why not have a Robin of a different race? I mean, they may have done it in an Elseworld story before or something, but to have it be in continuity and stuff, I think would be pretty special.
Yeah. And Duke had a nice scene in this issue where he's doing his infiltration in with the Penguin, and we find out the Penguin is still around. He had like an abdomen wound, but he didn't actually die from Mr. Bloom's earlier stuff. So yeah, that was some good stuff. Now, Bruce and Julie, they had a nice couple scenes together. But one of them, I actually had to like read it twice because I think Bruce actually proposed to Julie. He like kind of just threw it in there like, well, what if we get married or whatever?
Yeah.
But I think that was actually a proposal. And then Julie like didn't say no, but she didn't exactly say yes, but she seemed to sort of indicate sort of an affirmative to it. I don't know. What did you make of that dynamic?
I just like the whole scene in general. Batman's always been a comic for kind of all ages, but I found that scene was a little more realistic. Like if Bruce wasn't Batman and, he wanted to have these moments with his girl in the, before he gets in the shower and stuff, it seemed very realistic to me. I liked it. And I think they're kind of playing it up to me leading to 50 as well, that maybe something's going to happen here that's going to shock him into being Batman again, and maybe something's going to happen to her, because we can't have Batman getting married and having everything he wants, because that's just not who the character is, right?
Yeah, he might get it for a few more issues, but
yeah, I think it would be really cool. Like, you don't want to see this happen, but it's something with the character. He's born out of tragedy, right? So you kind of could see another tragedy maybe being the thing to snap him out of it.
Yeah, so maybe we've got a future Robin, like official Robin role for Duke. Maybe some bad news in the future for Julie. That could be bad.
Could be bad.
And in terms of Mr. Bloom, I've always kind of thought about Mr. Bloom as like, oh, this is cool. They've created a new character, and he has always the weeds. He's the weeds of the city, and the underground drug dealer, like stuff that grows up when when you don't take care of your city and stuff.
Yeah.
But then people online have been speculating that it's maybe not a brand new character. Maybe he is somebody else, or either he's some version of a past character, or he's maybe somebody that we've already seen in this run. So I'm going to throw out one idea. So this is, I have nothing to back this up, but that the assistant who helped like create the Batsuit, I think his name is Daryl. I think he's like the black police officer that helps manage the Batsuits.
Okay.
So I wonder about Daryl being Mr. Bloom, because Mr. Bloom was able to actually like hijack the Batsuit.
Yeah.
And Daryl seems like he was introduced right about the time where they were kind of planning for Mr. Bloom to be this thing. So maybe he was like put in there as like, oh, he'll be Mr. Bloom.
That would kind of tie in cool with Duke and everything as well too, right? Because maybe they know each other or something similar from the similar neighborhood. Who knows, right?
Yeah, and I haven't really gone back to look and see if it makes any sense, but it's just a thought I had of like, oh, he was a character that came in about the same time that Mr. Bloom did. I don't know how Mr. Bloom does all of his stuff, because Daryl seems like just a regular guy, but I'll just throw it out there.
Yeah,
It's
that's
now
kind
on
of a cool idea,
on the
though,
record
right?
now. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I
Yeah,
think
I
we'll
like
probably
it.
find out in a
Yeah, I
couple
mean,
issues.
honestly, so many things in this run when I look back at it, like definitely when 50's over, we'll have to do some sort of like favorite moments of this entire Capullo and Scott Snyder run because man, they've
Hmm.
just done some really amazing stuff on this book.
Yeah, that would be a hard list because there's a lot of
Hmm.
good stuff. So,
Yeah.
all right, cool. Well, we're still going into super heavy, and we'll see how it ramps up to looking towards issue 50.
All right, sounds good.